eternal in the dark depths of this prison.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me today as we head down into the next level of Pandaemonium. I really been looking forward to this ever since I saw the art for this particular patch, and now we're going to see what it's all about. So we're going to accept the quest here in Labyrinthos, an unwelcome visitor. So it's just outside the Aetherytes of Lahabrea, and we speak with Claudin. So I wonder how he's been. An unwelcome visitor. Claudin's eyes are brimming with the excitement of discovery. And what's with the freaky eye there? Claire, I've made a breakthrough. After uncountable days and nights, I finally hearkened to the crystal's whispers. And I must say... Professor Claudin, where are your manners? While I understand all too well your enthusiasm, I must remind you that even the most academically inclined prefers a composed recounting of events. Yes, of course. My apologies, Claire. Being consumed by my research for so long, I'm afraid I've quite forgotten how to engage in civilized conversation. In that case, perhaps we should start from the beginning. With the crystal set adrift upon the ethereal tides containing the memories of a party yet unknown, they cried out for deliverance from Pandemonium, where the ancients kept volatile creations under lock and key. You yourself witnessed the power devouring the facility from within, and the advent of a divine monstrosity wrought of mythic beast and powerful mage. Fortunately, your martial prowess and the combined magical talents of your companions Themis and Erichthonios were sufficient to restore order to the circles of Asphrodolios. But with the greater threat remains. In the depths of Pandaemonium, a present yet stirs, its intentions and identity shrouded in mystery. This is the issue at hand, is it not? That's a nice way to sum it all up. Since you returned to us, we worked tirelessly to discern the nature of the crystal. In the process, I detected an anomalous etheric signature, which I believe arose from the memory stored within. Analysis of this pattern suggested a feeling of loss or yearning, specifically the yearning to be made whole. And indeed, ambient readings have revealed a faint but identical signature. This can only mean that another such crystal exists in our time. So there's two of them. So my friend, I must depart to search for it forthwith. By tracing the matching etheric signature to its source, I believe it will be a simple matter to find our crystal's twin. Professor, will this expedition be carried out only by us, or will Claire grace us with her protection? I'm afraid she has more pressing matters to attend to, my dear Rusinald, namely to seek out the secrets which lie nestled within Pandaemonium, where this all began. From all that we have heard, it appears that time traversal from the Crystal Tower is not fluid. That is to say, one can but travel in predetermined intervals. It would be prudent to check in on occasion in case there are any unanticipated changes. As for you, my loyal assistants, I would ask you to remain here and continue cataloging the ancient creations. You can't mean... Do you intend to search for the crystal on your own? Why yes, that would be the most effective use of resources, would it not? In fact, I've already commissioned a ship and pilot for that very purpose. I trust you to take good care of the laboratory in my absence. I apologize for that somewhat abrupt departure. When progress is in sight, Professor Claudin tends to become blind to all else. Indeed, he has been worse than usual. While I cannot fault him for his excitement, I do wish he would spare a thought for those around him. For reasons unknown, the crystal seems loath to be overheard. Much as it spoke only to you last time, none but the professor have been able to capture its ethereal yearning, which has served only to convince him that he can solve this puzzle on his own. Surely after some time alone, he'll come to remember how valuable we are. The search for this crystal seemed to be a simple enough matter. Let him have his adventure, and upon his return I'm sure he'll be back to his usual self. As for you, Claire, it may be best to return to Pandaemonium, as Professor Claudin suggested. Speaking of which, I did have a request of my own to make. Traveling to Pandaemonium requires you to pass through Elpis, correct? There is something I would have you investigate for me. While those creations confined within Pandaemonium are considered to be failures, I doubt that's their whole story. Barring exceptional cases, they must have been under observation in Elpis before being consigned to their shackles. And if we know anything about the Ancients, it's that they would have kept thorough records of the results. Ah, brilliant! Delving into records may shed light on creatures Claire's yet to encounter, if your theory proves correct, that is. While there are no guarantees, it certainly beats the current strategy of rushing forward blindly with only her strength to carry the day. For your own sake, as well as ours, please unearth what information you can. Makes sense to me. So I'm guessing that when he comes back with that second crystal, they're probably going to be doing all kinds of tests on that, and that's going to hold like the secret to basically whatever else is happening here. That's my bet anyway. Okay, so we're heading back to Elpis. I'm more surprised that Erichthonios didn't think to mention that before. Then again, he knows Pandemonium better than anyone, so he's practically a walking thesaurus on the whole thing, I'm guessing. Oh, it's sad that we don't have too many reasons to have to come here anymore, you know? I mean, I love coming here to Elpis, but I don't know, there's really not much point. Story-wise, I mean. Oh, Themis! Oh, I missed him! I thought that was Vanoff for a second, believe it or not. Okay. Oop. Yeah, might as well get in a costume. Just because. I did not expect to meet you here, of all places. Can't tell if you're happy to see me or not. You seek records of Pandemonium's creations. Master Themis has just finished perusing the very same. I should not be surprised that we both arrived at the same conclusion. Luckily, I've saved you the trouble and gleaned what information I could. As you know each other, I was dreading having to once again scour the archives, but perhaps instead I'll rest for a spell. If there's nothing else, I shall take my leave. As should we, for I have undone the warding signal blocking the entrance to Abyssos. I came here merely to chase an ideal suspicion while awaiting your return. Fortunately, while Pandemonium's protective wards continue to be assailed from our unknown foe, there have been no fluctuations so great as to make me doubt Erichthonios' capacity to keep watch over Asphodelios while I'm away. He works diligently to master intimates, that he might deliver the creations back to their cages by his own hand. I thought it best to give him time to hone his craft. And since fate has brought us both here, I would ask you to accompany me while I attend to another matter. More idle suspicions that I would like to chase down. Rest assured, it shall not take long. I simply have a few questions to ask an acquaintance of mine. Come, he has agreed to meet us near the Netsas to Pandaemonium. I miss Themis. I really do enjoy his company, so it's really good to see him again after all this time. How long has it been? Like 8 months since we were last here? Around that time, I'm guessing. Yeah, I have to admit I'm not the biggest fan of having to wait 4 months anymore, but you know what? It's worth it. It really is worth it just to be able to have such a nice story. So, we're going to be diving into even deeper levels of Pandaemonium. And I have no idea what we're going to be facing. Like, I'm guessing that we're going to be coming across Lahabrea at some point here. At least that was what we saw to the cover art for 6.2. And we definitely saw Themis and Erichthonios. And the third person, who I guess has to be Lahabrea, but then we get like an upside down mirror reflection of him as like a twisted Lahabrea. And then there are all these chains and everything, so it's kind of insane. I don't know the best word to put it, so I'm just going to use that. Just completely bizarre at some point, so I have a feeling this is going to be a really interesting storyline. Okay. Oop, almost went right past them. That's what happens when I talk too much. As I pondered our expedition into Pandemonium, I could not help but be mystified by how strongly the warders we encountered felt for Lahabrea, whether it be for good or ill. Hesperos and Erichthonios were two sides of the same coin. The former looked to his mentor with absolute devotion, while the latter looks to his father with bald hatred. I would not expect a familiar such as you to understand this, but such extreme emotions towards a single individual are quite rare indeed. Naturally, I feel gratitude towards my mother and father, yet we are all equals in the larger picture of the star. This view is not unique to myself, it is more or less accepted as the way of things. By contrast, the researchers of Pandaemonium seem to view Lahabrea with the feeling approaching obsession. Whether driven by love or hate, they all have been drawn to him. There are many other aspects of the facility's particulars I found troubling besides. I decided the best course of action would be to go straight to the source and pose my questions to a member of the words of Lahabrea. Oh, speak of the devil. I'm guessing this is, word of Lahabrea's speaker. My apologies to keep you waiting, Master Themis. I understand you are conducting an investigation of Pandaemonium and wish to know of its origins. Indeed. In particular, I wish to know why exactly Pandaemonium was built directly under Elpis. The facility is overseen by the words of Lahabrea, after all. Why keep it so close to Elpis, whose governing body has no say in its day-to-day operations? At first I thought it was simply a matter of convenience. Those creations which were deemed failures by the researchers of Elpis could be easily ushered into their new homes. Imagine my surprise when a trip to the archives revealed that many of the creations were sent from organizations beyond Elpis, including from the words of Lahabrea themselves. Given this, albeit limited, information, I cannot but feel that the Academia and Nider would have been a more fitting locale. What does Elpis have that cannot be found there? These are fitting questions, and ones we have asked ourselves many times in recent years. Alas, the nature of Pandemonium's construction does not lend itself to relocation. And why is that? That makes no sense to me. When first it was built, circumstances weren't as they are now. As you surmise, the majority of the creations kept within Pandaemonium were sent from Elpis. Yet as the years pass, interest has changed. Failures and creations deemed too flawed even to submit to Elpis paradoxically drew the attention of Pandaemonium's researchers. That's quite the change, and in fact, it almost runs counter to the facility's original purpose. Who is it that decides which creations will be the subject of research? Master Lahabrea. Such authority is reserved for the Chief Keyword, and he has taken it upon himself to step into that role. So if Pandaemonium's resources were being misused, it would be under Lahabrea's authority, correct? Oh no, I see where this is going. I know not what you're suggesting, but the keywords also hold some sway within the facility. Not even Master Lahabrea would be free from their scrutiny. They are duty-bound to report any irregularities as soon as possible. Although I admit of late their communication has been somewhat sporadic, we but recently received a report from one of its keywords stating that all is well within Pandaemonium's halls. Wait, what? Really? And are you certain that a keyword sent it? Yes, of course. Our communication suffered a temporary obstruction, but I can assure you that the words did their due diligence in confirming the identity of the sender. Thank you. This information will be helpful to my investigation. That'll be all for my prying. Then I shall take my leave. While you are yet permitted to conduct your investigation freely, I must remind you that the warders' work is delicate, and it would be remiss to disturb them for longer than is necessary. Interesting. All is well. A blatant lie, and to that we can both attest. One of its remaining key wards is most certainly in league with the party behind this. Let us hurry. I know not why our adversary sent that report, but it is plain that we must return to Pandaemonium with haste. Okay, so it sounds like there is definitely some corruption here going on, but we don't have the whole picture yet. Can I guess as to why this false report has arisen now, but it certainly bodes ill, as does the knowledge that our mysterious mastermind has at least one more keyword to puppet. Regardless, they have tipped their hands, and we would be remiss to leave Erichthonios at the mercy of their machinations. Let us hope no harm has befallen him. Not quite. I've traced these sigils countless times, yet still I lack the strength to maintain the spell. And now time works against me. I can no longer be victim to my own ineptitude. What? Who goes there? Whoa! There is something to be admired in such single-minded effort, even if your methods leave much to be desired. You allowed this familiar to catch you unawares. Have you set your sights so high as to forget you walk upon the earth? That's creepy. I know this creature, a familiar of the Phoenix, but that monster is locked away. Oh, I see now. That it is, in spite of the trouble I went to in freeing it, I might add. Begrudge me for addressing you in this ill-fitting form if you must, but with control of Asphodelios rests from my grasp, it is simply the best I can offer you. Hide if you will, but mark my words, I will find you and make you pay for the chaos you've sown. Now, there's no need for such hostility. A calm heart stays the course. The wisdoms of Lahabrea, your father. And how would you know what wisdom he speaks? I've heard those words many times, the scolding of a tutor whose students struggle to grasp the most rudimentary lessons, seething with disgust. No. I've not told that to anyone, not even keyword Hesperos. That can only mean one thing. That still you insist on mocking me. Stop this farce, Lahabrea! At last, you move to keep up. Pity that you remain behind, nevertheless. What? As ever you are, always you fail to learn, fail to understand, fail to act. And though fate deigned to offer an escape, you remained here. You are bereft of magical prowess and common sense both. You need not despair. Though you may be, you are yet indispensable to Pandaemonium's great experiment. Oh, there's the affection I remember. Tell me, did I ever once measure up to your expectations? You shall. Take pride in that, and rejoice to see your wish fulfilled. What? One wish! Come, and all shall be revealed. All this rage, this hatred, is but a consequence of ignorance. Our desires align more than we know. What are you? Uninvited guests join our reunion. It seems fortune no longer favors you. Do you think I still have any interest in listening to your prattle? Let alone bowing to your will. I'm no longer a child, and my faith lies with those who have earned it. So these are the heroes who brought his sparrows low, even as power divine flowed through his veins. 'Tis plain that you are worthier subjects to contend with. Okay, that wasn't at all creepy. I'm very lost here. I really am. I have no clue what's going on. Just what was that familiar after? Thank you. If you had shown up even a moment later, I shudder to think what would have become of me. There's something I must tell you. I know who's behind this. There's but one person who can hold thrall over familiar, creation, and keyword alike. I bet he's going to say Lahabrea. Alright, so the next one is Mask of the Father, but we'll save that for next time. We'll have an entire episode devoted strictly to each one of the tiers that we have for Abyssos. Anyway, everyone, thank you for joining me for unlocking part 2 for Pandaemonium, and I can't wait to see what the next fight is going to be about. So until next time, take care.